22 workers for allegedly helping illegal miners. Chinalco says it's very disappointed with Rio Tinto's rejection. Tito Mboweni says targets don't matter, what matters is low inflation. And it's a war of words as Cipla Medpro and Adcock Ingram trade blows over the deal that never was. The all share closed up 1.13%, or 1.3% rather, at 23,166. The rand currently at 8.04 to the dollar, 12.92 to the pound, and the euro at 11.24. A barrel of Brent is at 68, and gold is trading at $958 an ounce. Get MoneyWeb SMS updates on your cell phone while you're out of the office. To subscribe, SMS the word alert to 37780.
Have we got... Through this week, we've been having a look at the tourism sector with the guys from Nedbank, and Mark Rose, who's Nedbank's business banking manager, today talks a little bit more about if you want to borrow money and you're in the tourism game. Just to remind you that this is a part of a podcast that you can pick up on the MoneyWeb website. Let's hear from Mark.
The main issue that we really require is quite a comprehensive business plan, and that needs to be well thought through. It needs to cover at least the salient issues that provide us with the right information to get to an informed decision. So if somebody is looking at either acquiring a boutique hotel or wanting to set up a guest house, the description of the establishment and the location is absolutely key for us. And, information around, what the expected occupancy levels will be or what the average room rate will be is important. And then I think above all is the financial plan. And that's probably the big one that we will look at in a lot more detail. So, how realistic are all of the income projections? What's the expense projections looking like? Have they been done with a sense of logic? Have they been well structured and put together?
Are you ready to order, sir? Would you like to maybe try our new organic blend coffee?
Just a regular filter coffee, thanks.
When choosing how best to invest the surplus cash from your business, you might want to explore your options at Nedbank Business Banking. We offer competitive rates and flexible terms, even if your main business account is not with us yet. And because our skilled bankers are closely aligned with our investment specialists, we can help you realize your business growth aspirations in addition to an investment solution. Just call us on 0861 GROW SA. Nedbank Business Banking, partnering for growth for a greater South Africa. Make things happen. Nedbank. We are an authorized financial services and credit provider.
We've got a fabulous program coming up for you, not least having our own very own investigations editor, Barry Sargent, who wrote really a terrific story on MoneyWeb called Death Deep in Gold's Belly. He unpacks what happened to the illegal miners and who's really behind their deaths earlier this week. Stay tuned for that a little later. But first, here's Wayne McCurry. He's our market commentator. And if you watch the international channels, and particularly Bloomberg, all they're talking about today is the jobless figures coming out of the United States. Initially, it lifted the stock market in America, but it didn't take too long for the good news to fall back, and that's because unemployment there is now nearly 10%, and that's the worst level since 1983.
Yeah,
and
it's the worst in 25 years. Yeah. Look, the initial jobless claims, in other words, the number of people who lost their jobs was way less than the market expected. It was 320-odd thousand. The market was expecting about 500,000. But then people looked at the total unemployment rate at 9.4%. In other words, although companies are getting rid of fewer workers, they're not hiring anymore, which obviously that's why the unemployment rate came in higher than what people expected. The market is still up overseas. I mean, the Dow's up 0.5%. The other two are barely in the green. So it hasn't been a shock to the system, but certainly the initial news on the jobless claims, the good news has been dissipated.
Well, it was interesting to notice that the gold price took an awful hiding when that information came out, down from $980 to $960, and it hasn't exactly picked up much. It's lost that $20 and it's gone.
Yeah, and the gold shares were cleaned out today, down 4% in an overall market that was up 1.3%.
That's interesting. The JSE up following international markets higher, and yet you have a little bit of bad news for gold, even though it should be temporary bad news, and that seems to stick.
Look,
gold looking vulnerable.
Look, Alec, in my view, and I could be so wrong, and I mean, who knows, but the whole green shoots theory of the economy stabilizing and getting a little bit better is not good for gold. Gold's gone up on the panic. So if the panic comes out of the system, gold should in fact fall in dollar terms. And I don't know if we're seeing part of that now, but that's certainly my theory about what's driving gold at the moment.
We're going to pick up with other market events, but just to remind you that MindWeb and indeed our studio guest Barry Sargent will be involved at the JSE on Friday the 18th of June. And there's going to be a presentation on gold. Alan Denby, Vladimir Nedeljkovic, Izzy Bacher, Peter Major, all well-known people on this program will be talking about gold, whether or not it's a safe haven in these troubled times. And you can register for it by going onto the MoneyWeb website. It costs 250 Rand a person, or best to secure your seat by emailing barbara@moneyweb.co.za. Some quite interesting news coming out in the market. This war of words that Hilton was talking about earlier between Adcock Ingram and Cipla was interesting on this program earlier in the week when we spoke with an executive from the IDC who said they actually wanted to put the two parties together. That's the Industrial Development Corporation. Yes. Clearly they weren't being too well listened to.
No, but I mean, don't worry too much about Adcock said this and Cipla said that, and the deal's off, and that's all the market's worried about. The Cipla response today was in response to Adcock's quite vehement SENS announcement they put out, I think, last week. So they're just rebuffing some of Adcock's statements. But quite frankly, it doesn't really matter.
And someone else who's been throwing words around is National Union of Mine Workers. Today they declared a dispute with the construction sector.
Yes, I saw that.
Because 15% salary increase is not enough. That seems a little strange, because in this day and age, anybody in this economy who gets 15% will be surely smiling.
Well, look, I can promise you no one in financial services is getting 15%. Your bonus this year is your job. Is that you keep your job, that's your bonus. So, well, look, I mean, I don't know what the ins and outs are with the construction sector or not, but certainly no one in financial services is getting 15%.
The National Union of Mine Workers said that because chief executives raised their salaries by 38% on average in that sector, they feel that workers should get more than 15%. I suppose that's a valid enough argument if you are making that comparison, but there's only one chief executive and there's a whole lot more people.
A lot more workers. But of course, the big news today was BHP and Rio Tinto. Those shares are strong.
We're going to cover that in a lot of detail later with Bar and Ritter. And just to get your take on it, and you say those shares were strong, BHP Billiton up 10%, Rio Tinto up 13%. Yeah. These are massive international mining companies who have a big interest in South Africa.
Correct. Well, BHP's got a lot more than Rio has in South Africa.
But from a broader global perspective, and perhaps without looking at the details, because we'll ask Barent about that, the Chinese have now been rebuffed twice, Wayne. They tried to buy an oil company in the United States, and they were given the thumbs down there a couple of years ago by the Congress. This time round, the Chinese looked to have a good deal with Rio Tinto.
Yes.
And today Rio Tinto said, no, thank you, we don't want to get involved with the Chinese. We would rather do something with BHP Billiton. It's a bit of a concern if you consider, if you were a Chinese person.
If you were, yes. But look, this BHP and Rio deal was not done to get the Chinese out of the picture. It was done to get massive savings, because in essence, BHP and Rio's have got mines next to each other in Australia, and they're doubling on all the infrastructure to get the ore to the ship. So now they're saying, let's not do that. Let's have one infrastructure, one company that does everything. And there's massive benefits. When Billiton wanted to buy Rio's 2 years ago, something like that, they actually just wanted these iron ore assets because of the rationalization with their own iron ore. That's now happened.
But Rio has withdrawn the convertible option.
Yes.
That it was going to give to the Chinese.
Shares. Now they're issuing $15 billion worth of shares.
So they're going to all shareholders rather than just to the Chinese, which it's been interpreted as a rebuff for the Chinese.
Look, it has been, but understand the big driver was actually to get the rationalization benefits out of the iron ore.
So from your side, you're saying it isn't something that Beijing is going to feel.
Look, I'm sure they'll be very upset, and they've in fact issued a statement saying that they're not happy about that. What our take on it is that the primary objective of this deal was not to get the Chinese out of the picture.
Wayne, on the markets generally, the Savvy today was at 27%. That's the volatility index, which is a little bit better than it was yesterday. Interesting to hear earlier in the week that the JSE is going to be launching a volatility index on the dollar rand.
It'll be quite interesting. They might in fact find that there's quite a big market for that.
Also, that it'll also tell us we tend to think that the dollar rand is very volatile. The rand's a volatile currency, and Alan Thompson was saying not really.
It's not really. It's the same as any other emerging market.
And then finally, ArcelorMittal is in talks here in South Africa to cut working hours amongst its
Yes.
workers. And then internationally, ArcelorMittal's rating has been
Credit rating,
downgraded. What does that mean?
Look, Arcelor, it is temporary, but I think there's been about a 12% reduction in global steel usage, but there's been about a 30 or 40% reduction in global steel production, the actual making of the steel, because there was too much stock in the system. So now for a long time, ISCO, the old ISCO, ArcelorMittal, is now just got too much stock, and they stopped production early before December. I think they started late. I think they've moved a whole lot of maintenance forward to try and keep, at least do the maintenance while there's no demand for steel, rather than the other way around. But they've obviously got to the point now where the demand hasn't come back into the system yet, and they've got to cut costs.
So they're cutting working hours
So they've got to cut
rather
working
than
hours.
retrenching people.
Yeah, same as what Bell did.
If you are invested in the